Welcome back to the Mad Spiderverse. I'm Mad Spidey, and thank you once again for tuning into my channel. So today's episode is going to be another one of my artist series. Now, this is episode, I think it's 39, I think. Obviously, I'll have the number in the total. Not that that really sort of matters overly much, but I like to keep track. But yeah, I think it's episode 39, and this one is going to be based on, I'll just call him a creator. He's mainly known for being an inker, but obviously he is an artist as well, and you will definitely see the level of talent this man has. But yeah, he's mainly known as an inker, and his name is Rob Hunter. He has been around since, I think, the early to mid-90s. Rob has basically done everything and anything. He's done DC and he's done Marvel. He's done like extensive work in both of the major two. He's also worked for Top Cow and Dark Horse and a few other independents and things like that. But as I said, he's mainly known for being an inker. Obviously, he has done a bit of artist work. Like I know DC, he's done Batman and Green Lantern and Flash and Wonder Woman and Justice League and pretty much all the major titles and a lot of lesser known titles. Marvel, I know he's done, I think, like Captain America. I know he's done a lot of X-Men work and the X series books, both sort of like singular, like solo character series and X-Men itself. But yeah, he's done quite an extensive amount of work. As I said, mainly known as an inker, but yeah, still a brilliant artist in his own right. From what I remember, I think basically this was around, I think it was 2017, 2018, I think it was. 2018. Obviously, it does help when the artists actually write a year or a date or whatever like that on the art, which they don't always do, but it always does help to refresh the memory. I remember this was a fairly quick turnaround too. I think it was only a couple of months at most. But obviously, my journey with getting into original art and making all my contacts was actually a lot through Facebook. Before IG became really prominent, before Twitter became really prominent, and a lot of, obviously, other websites and things like that that try and help you get commissions and original art and things like that. Facebook, for me, actually, since the early 2000s or whatever like that, is where I made the majority, actually, of my contacts in the comic book industry. Like, I think I, have something like 1,000 friends on Facebook. Not that I use Facebook much anymore, but I have something like 1,000 friends. And I'd say at least 75-80% of them are either writers, artists, inkers, colorists, art reps, pretty much anybody, and obviously collectors and friends that collect comics and stuff like that. So yeah, I reckon like a major percentage of the friends in my Facebook account are all comic book based. So in saying that, I remember vaguely seeing, I think that Rob had opened up a commission list, and quite often, I would literally, like if I was friends with them and I'd see the post, if I had the money at the time, I would try and jump on anybody's list that I possibly could. Whether I was a fan of their work or not, I generally try to get as much as I could. Obviously being in Australia, if they opened it up to internationals, that's where, I was able to sort of try and get a lot of this stuff, because, like a lot of things from the North America, you don't always get international shipping. So, but in this case, yeah, Rob would basically open up a commission list. Either he would, ink something you already had, obviously you had to send it to him, something like that, or he would do a fresh piece. And yeah, so I jumped on the opportunity. I pretty much asked for I think at the time, I might have asked for a Spider-Man versus Venom with just a minimal background. I think that's all that I could afford at the time. But Rob went like ridiculously above and beyond on this one. It went absolutely nuts. And as I said, this is one of the better stories in my commission life, or commission hobby. I've mentioned this plenty of times before, you know, obviously on these videos and also on live streams if we get into the story of, you know, collecting art and things like that. If people ask me questions about, you know, how I got into it, or the good and the bad, and, you know, the do's and the don'ts and things like that, which, yeah, quite often, you know, I do get asked quite a lot. One of the, you know, this is one of the happiest stories where it was literally like, okay, we organised the piece. I can't remember whether I paid up front or not, because some artists you have to pay up front, unfortunately. And if you want it, that's pretty much what you got to do. But yeah, I obviously paid for it, whether it was at the start or at the end or whichever, I can't quite remember. But yeah, it was literally a couple of months and I had the piece in my hand. So, like, definitely one of those better stories. Obviously, if you've seen any of these, my artist series videos before, you're going to know that time is generally the biggest gripe any original art collector, especially commission art collectors, will have. Like, time and communication is the main two. So communication can be very lax because obviously they're busy, they got day jobs, you know, obviously, you know, doing their regular gigs and deadlines and things like that, and we understand that, or most of us understand how it works. Some people are more impatient than others. But I know my boy Unruly Simeon says that I'm one of the most patient guys in the commission art game. But in saying that, yeah, I pretty much, I have a lot of horror stories where I've had to wait years and years and years for a lot of pieces, and some have only had to wait a couple of weeks or a couple of months or whatever like that. Pretty much, as far as I'm concerned, anything under a year is fantastic. So, but saying that, yeah, this was one of those better stories. So, as I said, 11 by 17, pencil and inked. Venom versus Spider-Man, and it was supposed to be minimal background, and yeah, above and beyond. But you'll see what I mean when I show you. Just ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous amount of detail. So obviously you can see Venom there, Spidey hanging off the ceiling, but just like, you know, putting all the lines in the roof, and obviously, you know, all the symbiote suit sort of, you know, going all over there, and webbing, and it's actually sort of like, looking at Spidey, it's quite reminiscent of a bit of a McFarlane Spidey, actually. But as you can see there, there's Rob's signature with 2018 written on it. But yeah, very, very, very cool piece. Super, super happy with this. Nothing but great things to say about Rob. Yeah, like communication, time, bang for your buck. Everything was just absolutely awesome. So yeah, one of the better stories. Obviously, all the ones that I have, you got to focus on the positive. Even my worst ever time waiting, which I've said this before, I'm still dreading doing that video, but I will eventually do it. Some of the best, or should I say, some of the worst horror stories will quite often have the happy ending, you know, the fairy tale happy ending sort of thing. So there are an odd few that, yeah, I'd say there's probably about maybe 5 pieces that I'm dreading doing the videos of, but I will do them eventually. It's always good to do a buyer beware sort of thing for people that are struggling to get into the game or want to get into the game and things like that. But in saying that, yeah, you really got to be prepared to, you know, have lack of communication and be waiting quite a long time. Realistically, if you want to collect original art, do your stuff at cons. Obviously, if it doesn't get done, don't pay for it. things like that, or collect pages or covers, which can be quite pricey as well. But obviously, it's already pre-done. They literally just need to ship it out and things like that, and you shouldn't have to wait as long. But yeah, like if anybody ever has any questions about commission stuff and things like that, look, even though, like I've said, I'll put myself on hiatus from the original art game because I've been priced out. I'm on I'm on bare minimal wage. I can't afford to be chasing, books and art and other things. Obviously, I've sort of put my focus all on books at the moment. Maybe one day I'll get back into it. I know my boy Beckerman's like, you're a quitter and all that sort of stuff, but yeah, it's just I don't have the bankroll. Basically, that's all it is. It's like I can only do one focus on one big sort of thing. So as I said, books is my my thing for the time being. Maybe one day I might just put the toe in a little bit into the water, but yeah, at this point in time, we're letting it go. But I have heaps and heaps of art to still show you guys. If you're loving this series, don't worry. There's probably a good another, I don't know, 50, 60 episodes maybe. Obviously depending on how many individual pieces I have. Because obviously some pieces, some artists that I'm showcasing, I have multiple pieces from. So that chews down the, I don't know, 300, 400 commissions that I have. So, but yeah, I've waffled on long enough. I know I waffle. If you've watched it to the end, I greatly appreciate it. Obviously, do all the usual YouTube stuff. Leave a comment if you wish to. And yeah, as I said, if you've got any questions, you can either put them in the comments or contact me on IG. If you do want to dip your toe in, I do also suggest, if you do know Mike Becker or Beckerman, he is a lot more knowledgeable than I am. If you do know him and you want any questions, I don't think Mike's a great guy. He'd be more than happy to answer any questions that you might have. So, and Mike, yeah, if you do see this and it's not all right, I'm sorry. But yeah, do all the usual YouTube stuff. Leave a comment or a question, whichever you like. Hit the thumbs up on the way out. And don't forget, please hit the subscribe button if you're not. So that'll do for this particular episode. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and Spidey out.